The game that I would like to show you, Marshall was playing with the white pieces. This appeared to be the last game of the match, and it's a classical one, one which Capablanca showed his good understanding of the end games already. So the opening is d4, d5, and after e6, knight c3, Capablanca made the move c5. Obviously he was following the theory of that time, and it was Dr. Tarrasch, if you remember, who invented this line. He went for the Tarrasch line. You know, it's very aggressive. Black is not against the fact that he is going to have an isolated pawn on d5, g3. If you follow the series by Rubinstein, about Rubinstein, you will know that this was his pet line, and bishop e6 was Capablanca's reply. There is also another way for black to develop in this position. First knight f6, and after bishop g2 to go bishop e7. But okay, Capablanca chose the more aggressive way, bishop e6. Bishop g2, or maybe not more aggressive, but let's put it this way, just the way that he liked it. So white castled, and black developed his knight on f6. Now, Marshall, he just kept on playing aggressively. He developed the bishop on g5. Later on, people of the same generation, strong grandmasters, Bogulyubov and Reti, found that here it was a better idea for white to take on c5 immediately. And after bishop takes c5, either the move knight g5, which was offered by Bogulyubov, attacking the bishop on e6, but also preparing the move e4, trying to blow the center and to open up the game. So this is considered to be advantageous for the first player, or Reti's idea to go knight a4, and after bishop e7 to take this diagonal for the bishop. This is very good place for the bishop because it controls both the d4 square, but the c5 square is under control as well, so the knight can easily jump on c5 later on. But knight d4 here is also a very good move, and white is going to have slight but stable advantage. Anyways, as you know, these lines were just formed back then, and Marshall decided not to take on c5, but he played instead of that the move bishop to g5. Now Kappa found a good way to equalize, or almost equalize the game. He jumped with his knight on e4, attacking the knight on c3 and also trading a pair of white pieces. That was good for him. He's relieving the defense, and at the same time there is no time now for black to take on white to take on c5, because white is going first to take on c3, and it will be white also who is having an isolated and weak pawn on c3. Actually, there are two isolated and weak pawns on e2 and on c3, which are compensating the fact that black is having an isolated pawn on d5. So if white doesn't have time to take on c5, what else can he do? Rook c1 looks like a very natural and good idea, and it was in fact used some years later by Rubinstein in his game against Mises. Rubinstein got slightly better position after knight takes c3, rook takes c3, c4, and now he jumped knight e5, and after short castling he played f4. By the way, this plan with f4 was very typical for Harry Nelson Pillsbury. He invented it, and many people just call it Pillsbury's plan, albeit it was in the Queen's Gambit, in the pure Queen's Gambit. So white wants here to play f5, then e4, and to attack in the center thanks to this beautiful knight on e5. But Marshall, true to his aggressive style, decided not to make such solid moves like rook c1, but instead to go for immediate attack with the move knight e5. He was probably hoping for knight takes c3, b takes c3, knight e5, d takes c5, and now some pressure against the pawn on d5. I think that this is quite playable for black, even though many annotators afterwards say that black is worse in this situation, but say that if black just castles and after bishop takes d5 goes rook a d8, I believe that he's going to equalize little by little after bishop takes d5 and queen takes e5. He's taking back the pawn, and then the key move is b5 to try and trade those pawns in the center. If white has some pull, it's very, very small, and it's not really a big deal. Black can handle this situation. Say rook e1, queen f5. And then this pawn will be, the b pawn will be traded for the d1. Black also has active pieces, active rook, which will compensate for the fact that this pawn is not very good at the moment. But instead of that, Capablanca chose another plan, which was also very good. There is no need to take on c3 immediately. He thought probably, why not just to take the pawn on d